Madras, India. In the first decade of the 20th century, Srinivasa Ramanujan, a young mathematician with no formal training, repeatedly stuns the academic world with innovative theorems. Even some of the world's leading mathematicians are confounded by his remarkable formulas. But just as astounding as Ramanujan's work is the fact that these formulas came to him in dreams.
He claimed that a goddess, a Hindu goddess known as Namagiri, transmitted these theorems to him. These theorems came to be known as modular functions, and still to this day, they are the most advanced form of mathematics that is used by physicists dealing with relativity and quantum mechanics.
How could someone without any background in mathematics see such complicated theorems in dreams? Does Ramanujan's story reveal how humanity can access knowledge outside the brain?
So it really raises, I think, the interesting question as we explore consciousness more from a scientific point of view and understand it better. What types of connections and communications are occurring on the more cosmic scale? So what other connections exist out there, I think, is a very interesting question to explore.
The people who have these inspirations, it's not like they were deriving it. It comes from the unconscious. And the unconscious is still a great mystery. Is it just our unconscious or is it the collective unconscious?
Could true genius be the product of a universal mind or collective unconsciousness? Ancient Hindus believed such a repository of knowledge actually exists. A universal force that includes every thought, action, emotion, or experience that any person ever had or ever will have. Westerners later named it the Akashic Record.
It is a Sanskrit word. It means sky. It's something that can be accessed through your mind, through your brain power, through your spiritual wavelength. Having access to that information which is there, that is not written, but somehow you have to be able to be in tune with that frequency in order to obtain that.
Could it be that the common talent all geniuses possess is actually an ability to access the wisdom of the Akashic Record or universal mind? And if so, have other modern geniuses acquired knowledge from an otherworldly realm? Einstein received the inspiration for his groundbreaking theory of relativity in a dream. Friedrich August Kekulé discovered the elusive shape of the benzene molecule during a daydream in which he saw a snake chasing its tail. And the brilliant Russian chemist Dmitry Mendeleev literally dreamed up the periodic table of the elements.
He, in this dream, saw exactly where all of the elements lined up. The periodic table itself came in a dream, just fully formed. After coming out of the dream, he quickly drew them all down. And it's still the same that we use today.
Is it possible that a universal mind has bestowed genius on certain individuals throughout history? And might there be scientific evidence of this phenomenon? At the Mind Research Network at the University of New Mexico, neuropsychologist Rex Young uses a magnetoencephalography, or MEG machine, to measure the brainwave activity of a test subject. Dr. Young believes this test may show how creative inspiration strikes the brain.
Okay, Andre, you ready to begin? We have 3 tasks that we're going to run with Andre. First one is vocabulary, second one is paper folding, and the third one is inductive reasoning. Andre, I want you to clench your jaw now.
As the test subject performs these everyday tasks, the MEG machine measures normal brain activity.
Andre, now move your eyes back and forth.
But then, Young has the test subject clear his mind.
Andre, can you close your eyes and relax your brain for a moment, please?
As the subject relaxes his mind, his brain activity decreases. But then suddenly, the MEG machine detects something new: alpha waves. Scientists say these brain waves indicate the unconscious mind is working behind the scenes, outside our conscious thoughts.
The alpha wave have found to be associated with divergent thinking, the manifestation of creative cognition. And it's also associated with relaxing the brain. And this is something very important, I think, to the manifestation of genius, this ability to think of new and useful ideas that haven't been thought of before.
Could alpha waves have been how Ramanujan, Einstein, and Mendeleev received their flashes of brilliance? Or how the ancients could have channeled the gods' wisdom as they developed their civilization? If so, where does mainstream science believe these thoughts come from?
That is the million-dollar question. It's kind of like, what is consciousness? This is kind of a question that really stumps neuroscientists.
Ancient astronaut theorists believe it is possible that what appears to be divine or inspired brilliance that pops unexpectedly into the minds of geniuses could come not from the human mind, but from an extraterrestrial realm.
Overall, time after time, we're seeing a through line here suggesting that there is a deliberate interface with our minds that is steering the progress of human invention and human innovation according to a predefined script for a desired targeted outcome.
So you have to ask yourself, are extraterrestrials somehow using this incredible volume of knowledge of the universal mind and then directing it to certain people at certain times when the time is right, and in a sense supervising the education of certain people who are ready to receive this knowledge?
New York City, spring 1940. At the Bell Laboratory Complex in Manhattan, a young engineer named David Parkinson is using a device called a potentiometer to track the varying electrical voltages that course through a telephone when people use it. Parkinson's work with potentiometers seems unimportant compared to the big news of the day.
The Nazis had begun their shattering blitz on Britain.
The Nazis have conquered most of Europe, forcing the Allies to flee the continent in a ragtag flotilla of civilian boats after the Battle of Dunkirk.
The Nazis were almost undefeatable at this time in the war, and there was a tremendous despair and fear amongst the Allied forces. And the story goes that David Parkinson had a dream one night, and in the dream, he was standing beside a certain type of gun. And that gun was hitting every Nazi plane with absolute accuracy.
Parkinson's dream gave him a brilliant idea. He could use the same technology that tracked electrical charges flowing through a telephone to track enemy airplanes flying through the sky.
And in the dream, he was able to see the technology that was created to make this gun so accurate. And it is said that when he awoke, he went back to the labs and he ultimately created the technology that was necessary to shoot down Nazi aircraft.
Parkinson's dream inspired him to create the M9 electrical gun director, which allowed Allied anti-aircraft guns to hit moving targets like the dangerous V-1 rocket with incredible accuracy. But how could such an advanced weapon be completely realized in a single dream?
The weird part about it is, this guy was a scientist, but he knew nothing about aeronautics. Because David Parkinson had no background in aerodynamics, his contemporaries, other scientists, and the military were literally taking him not seriously at all. But he insisted, and he even spent a lot of his own time creating prototypes, which eventually were found to work.
Throughout human history, there are amazing stories of how mankind has been inspired through their dreams and through their visions. I think we have to ask ourselves, what is the source of this inspiration? Where do these dreams and visions come from? Is it possible that we are being communicated with by otherworldly beings?
Could extraterrestrials really be using dreams to convey ideas and information to the human race? Ancient astronaut theorists say yes. Throughout history, many of mankind's greatest thinkers have been inspired by their dreams. Scientist James Watson claimed the double helix structure of DNA came to him through his dream of a spiral staircase. Friedrich August Kekulé discovered the chemical structure of benzene when he had a dream of a group of snakes swallowing their tails. Srinivasa Ramanujan, whose mathematic principles are still being used by quantum physicists today, said that he obtained these mathematic theorems in dreams implanted in his mind by the Hindu goddess Namagiri.
We are seeing an ongoing pattern of dreams being used to communicate information. But this is a widespread phenomenon. It's been going on for many thousands of years, and it continues right straight through to the present day.
Is it really possible that extraterrestrial beings could actually manipulate our dreams? Ancient astronaut theorists say yes. And as evidence, they point out that modern science is already starting to understand how to interpret and manipulate dreams. Morin Cerf is a neuroscientist who studies human brainwaves. In one of his experiments, he shows pictures to test subjects while they're awake and analyzes how their brains process the images.
So each of those little squares here corresponds to a cell in Matt's brain. So right now Matt has 128 electrodes in his brain. They come from all parts of his brain, right, left, and so on. All of those wires go into this computer, and what we see here are the activities of those little cells in his brain. So if I pick cell number 36 and I double click on that, what you see here is the activity inside his brain. This is like a microphone sitting next to one cell in his brain.
Dr. Cerf can determine which cell stores the memory of a particular picture, like movie star Cary Grant, by analyzing which cell reacted when he showed it to his test subject. Once he's figured this out for dozens of cells, Dr. Cerf waits for his patients to go to sleep and then watches for signs that they're dreaming about the images he has shown them. In a very basic way, he can see his patients' dreams. But in the future, Dr. Cerf may actually be able to dictate our dreams by stimulating the set of cells that store our memories about a person or event.
If I really map the entire sequence, if I know all these, say, 1 million cells that encode Cary Grant in your brain, I know exactly what they are, and I activate all of them, I stimulate all of them, then we believe you're gonna actually see Cary Grant.
If aliens really have been coming to Earth for thousands of years, could they be using similar technology to manipulate our dreams?
Is it possible that the extraterrestrials don't want to directly interfere in our society, but to guide us from behind the scenes? And even though they have to push us along in certain directions, we need to have the feeling that we're doing it, even if it does include some extraterrestrial guidance.
But they continued to communicate with humans through dreams and visions and other methods of indirect communication in order for them to provide guidance, but also to provide this guidance in a hands-off way.
Is it possible that they withdrew from our reality because we had to modernize? It could be that the purpose of this was to give us the opportunity to follow them without being pushed. And if they forced it upon us, we would simply worship them as gods and we would have learned nothing. But by doing it ourselves, we form our own path, we actually make our own ascension experience, and we become much more like them in the process.
Emory University, Atlanta, Georgia, December 2012. After years of work, mathematician Ken Ono and 2 of his former students come up with a groundbreaking mathematical formula that will allow scientists to study black holes in an entirely new way. Incredibly, they achieved this feat by studying a single paragraph written by an Indian mathematician over 9 decades earlier, Srinivasa Ramanujan.
Srinivasa Ramanujan was an Indian mathematician who is unlike any other genius in world history. Ramanujan's work has now formed the basis for superstring theory and multidimensional physics, some of the most advanced math that all the high-end scientists are still using today. Is called modular functions, which could lead to time travel, anti-gravity, limitless free energy, all of this futuristic technology.
He was able to take a little that he knew farther than most mathematicians would be able to take them. He had the vision to see what was important. There are just so many beautiful ideas that he had, some of which are just waiting to be developed.
Ramanujan made breakthroughs in integral calculus, which can be used to determine the drag force buffeting a wing as it slides through the air, or the gravitational effects of the Earth on a man-made satellite. But perhaps what is most noteworthy is that Ramanujan insisted these baffling theorems were not simply the product of his own genius. He claimed they were communicated to him by an otherworldly being. Srinivasa Ramanujan was born in Erode, India, on December 22, 1887, and was considered a miracle child because he was the only one of his mother's 4 children to survive infancy. Even as a young boy, he was obsessed with numbers.
From a very early age, just instinctively, he was thinking about numbers. He was calculating. He was fascinated by numbers. Numbers, he said, had personalities for him. They had a kind of life for him. There are a lot of stories about how he was so focused on mathematics that he would ignore a lot of his other subjects.
Ramanujan grew up in the town of Kumbakonam, in a house within view of the impressive Sarangapani Temple. The mathematical prodigy spent much of his childhood at the temple among thousands of carvings of Hindu gods.
According to Ramanujan's childhood friend, he would often go to the temple and work on mathematics. Friend had a memory of coming into the temple and finding Ramanujan with all these inexplicable figures surrounding him.
The figures that surrounded Ramanujan were, in fact, complex mathematical equations that he had written in chalk on the stone slabs of the temple floor. He would often say that they were communicated to him in his dreams by the Hindu goddess Namagiri Thayer.
He always insisted, and he was very adamant about this, that the mathematical discoveries he made came to him in dreams and visions provided by the goddess Namagiri. In these visions, he would see these fantastic, beautiful mathematical formulae unscrolling before him.
Numerous times throughout Ramanujan's youth, he would abruptly vanish for days at a time, then return home without explanation. His neighbors considered him to be psychic, and he suggested that numbers connect us to higher powers in the universe. Could it be that Ramanujan really was receiving information from an otherworldly being.
Ever since he was a little child, he was having these visions of the Hindu goddess Namagiri, and on his own, in poverty in India, he rederives over 100 years worth of Western mathematics. But then the goddess Namagiri is giving him all this other information that goes way beyond where Western mathematics had gone.
For someone like Ramanujan, who grows up in a devout Hindu family in southern India, everything that he experiences has to do with Hindu gods and goddesses. But is it possible that it was really some kind of extraterrestrial who was helping him develop these mathematical theorems?